begin their hearings next week seeking that very truth. With me, Congresswoman Ileana Ros-Lehtinen, Chair of the House Foreign Affairs Committee from Miami, and Congressman Tom Rooney, House Intelligence Committee from D.C. Thank you so much for being with us this evening.
Thank you, Judge.
I'm going to start with you, Chairwoman. You chair the House Foreign Affairs Committee, and I understand that you have written, I believe, 3 letters to Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. Did you ever get a response from her?
Well, we're waiting for that response. The response that we got for the hearing that we've got scheduled for her to testify on Thursday is, sorry, I'm in Australia because they've got a very important meeting concerning defense needs. So she says that she's negotiating with us. Perhaps she will appear before us before the end of November. But this is we want an open hearing because the American people deserve answers. Every time we have a closed hearing, a classified briefing, we will be having another one this week, and those are all fine and good. But what happens is that then the administration is free to leak any information that it wants to the press, and we are not able to discuss any of the testimony that they've given to us in a classified hearing. And why do we want this in an open hearing? 4 Americans were killed in a terrorist attack, in a coordinated terrorist attack, and we know from cables that you've brought on your show, Judge, that said that 1 month before this September 11th attack, already the consulate in Benghazi was telling the Obama administration, hey, we do not have a good security situation here. It is deteriorating badly. We have trained camps, 10 of them, around our consulates.
Well,
They're
no
Islamic jihadists ready to kill us, and yet the administration does nothing. 4 Americans die, and the Secretary of State is busy in Australia.
The problem is that not only did the congressman, through cables, and you're referencing the August 16th cable, but right up until the day he died, he asked for help. And this whole thing, and I'll go to you, Congressman Rooney, the whole thing about saying that Libya has been normalized and therefore we don't need all the security that we did need. Do you think you're going to get straight answers at the House Intel Committee that you're on?
Well, I hope so. I mean, certainly the week has been thrown on its ear with the announcement on Friday, but I do believe that we've had a very good working relationship with the intelligence community over the last several years, and I think that the information that we get and we have gotten has been adequate. And I do believe that when you see the facts come out, at least I'm hopeful that the intelligence community is not going to be the problem here. It's going to be other elements that you know, that the chairwoman's probably going to have to deal with. But I mean, there's a lot of unanswered questions here that need to be addressed.
What are the elements? What are the elements that you're referring to, Congressman?
Well, I think that you get to a point where you do your job as the intelligence community and you let the powers that be above you know that this is what's going on. What do you want to do? And then it sort of becomes a you know, a State Department issue or an administration issue. I do not feel that the intelligence community was, as they have said, was the one who made the call that we are going to stand down and we are not going to engage. And those are the type of things that we'll hear.
And let me make it clear that, Congressman Rooney, you have a military background, yes?
Right.
Tell us what that is.
I was a judge advocate in the Army, as was my wife, and I also taught constitutional law at West Point.
Okay. And so, I mean, you believe that, that the general in resigning, do you think that has anything to do with his ability to speak freely about these issues?
I'm not going to speculate about that, but I will tell you that we want to hear from him, regardless of whether or not he's the director of the CIA or not. I mean, he will be asked to come testify, I'm sure, at some point, because he was the director on watch at that point. You know, it doesn't matter that he's currently the director or not.
Right.
We're going to ask him to come in and tell us what he saw, what he knew. We've got, as Ileana said, we've got questions. They have to be answered. General Petraeus was there when it was going on,
All
so
right. And
we'll hear from him.
Congresswoman, let me go to you for a second. If Hillary Clinton, and she, of course, is the Secretary of State, Department of State, responsible for security for our diplomats. Our ambassador of security was reduced at a time when people were receiving danger pay, and there are all these al-Qaeda training camps that they're complaining about. If she makes the decision not to testify, will you, or prolongs it until when she leaves, will you subpoena her?
Well, we're hoping that it never comes to that. We're going to be hearing in our Thursday hearing, we're going to be hearing from security officers. One person is a 30-year retired CIA security embassy officer who's going to tell us what kind of needs there were in the consulate in Benghazi, why those needs perhaps were not met. We're going to be hearing from the GAO, the Government Accountability Office, and they're going to tell us that the demands on state in time and time again have not been met. They have not addressed those security needs. Benghazi is just one of the many kind of problems that we could have worldwide. We hope that the Secretary of State, just like Tom said, he's got a good working relationship with the intelligence community. We have a good working relationship with the Department of State. But when Jay Carney, the White House spokesman, says that this White House has been cooperating with Congress all along on Benghazi, that is an out-and-out lie. And what we've seen from this administration and the State Department is cover-up and deception. And that's why we would like not just this private hearing that we're going to have on Friday. We want an open hearing, right, because the American public deserves it. And Secretary Clinton, I am optimistic, will come up and will meet our request, and she will be appearing before us by the end of November.
All right, just very quickly, because I got to wrap right here. Congressman Rooney, have you seen court-martials for adultery? You think that's a possibility?
I don't see it here. I mean, obviously, Article 134 of the UCMJ allows for that, and certainly General Petraeus has probably signed the orders from military judges for junior officers throughout his career, so it's possible, and we technically still would have jurisdiction over him. But I mean, I don't see them reaching back and pulling him up to charge him with adultery at this point. But it's certainly something that we have for good order and discipline and conduct becoming an officer in the military. But I don't see it happening.
All right. Well, Congresswoman Ros-Lehtinen and Congressman Rooney, thank you both so much, and hopefully we'll get some answers next week because, as you say, the American people deserve to know.
Hope springs eternal.
All right. Hope springs eternal. That's my line. I agree with you. And up next, a former Defense Department official